Good evening. And today's pocket sixes. So on this hand, we have a raise, the three big blinds. This player is a um, loose passive, doesn't normally raise. You can see 41% VPIP, 9% preflop raise. He's mid position, his raise first in 7%. So at this point, I do think he is going to be pretty tight. So if we just go, that's 7% right there. And that's probably close to what he's playing. So at this point, I don't think we're going to be raising as much. So like cutoff versus mid position, you can see we've got these colors. I actually think we might want to try to call with a slightly better raise. Maybe something like that as opposed to this, just because he's going to have much stronger range. And if we have like ace queen, we know that cuts down on the number of aces that he has, and like king queen hands that he would have. But I'm sure I was playing something like this. Also, I think we could probably versus like consider him like early position since he's much tighter with his preflop raises. You can see that we basically have the same pocket pairs. We would 3-bet jacks and versus a mid position where we would call jacks versus early position. I think I would probably just call jacks versus this player instead of raising, because it's going to be a higher percentage of time he'll have queens, kings, or aces. So I just called and then Button called. Button's playing 17-10 over 149 hands. He's going to be somewhat tight. I don't have a 3-bet stat on him yet. 0 out of 5. So if he plays, he's probably going to be calling, and he's probably going to be calling with a decent range. So what was his called 2-bets? His called 2-bet stat is 20% from the button. So, and that's only 1 out of 5. We can say that's 20.7%. We'll add those two. We'll take out ace king. We'll take out kings plus as well. So let's get rid of the offsuit since most players don't really play that, and add the suited gabbers. That's 18.3%. 18.9%. Maybe he has king 9 and queen 9 as well. We'll say that's a calling range. So he calls, and then both blinds fold. Is there any chance that we would be raising here? Yeah, I think we could raise. I think we raise with aces in this case, and probably ace king. If he shoves all in, raises over top of us, well, he'd probably shove all in because he's only 30 big blind stack. Then I think we call with aces, kings, ace king. I'm a little bit more hesitant to raise with queens in this case because I think he's, with his stack size, he could shove with ace king, which, I mean, we wouldn't mind. I mean, queens versus ace king, but I think we could probably do a little bit better by just calling with queens on a non-ace or king flop. Then we could probably get it in there, and he'll give up his equity. We could take it down, and if he calls, then with ace king on the flop, hey, there's only 2 cards left to come. So this is our range. We're going to go with this range because I'm sure that's probably what we were playing at the time. It's 5.28%. Combos is 70 combos. Again, just kind of notice that we do have to recognize that it'll be tighter, so our calling range, I think, should be tighter as well. We probably would want to be raising as much. So, like, yeah, we could probably raise ace 2, 3, 4, 5 because it cuts down on the aces. But if he calls, we're going to probably have to spike an ace to win, or that straight or a flush to win. I think we get rid of a lot of those small suited connectors when you think about what hands are actually going to be calling a 3-bet. Really, I think he would be able to fold his maybe king jack, queen jack, jack 10, king queen, and then probably like 8s, 9s, 10s. He probably calls with jacks and queens and shoves with kings plus ace king, possibly even ace queen. So we've got our hand here. Board comes out 9 of spades, 5 of diamonds, 4 of diamonds. Nothing that is too dangerous, especially versus this guy. He either has an overpair or he missed, and he checked, which is kind of interesting. So his c-bet stat out of is 60% in position, 100% out of position, 4 out of 4. Since he checked, I am excluding all of his sets and overpairs. I think this is a short stack. He is looking to probably get them all in. He would be betting maybe not half, but he would probably bet 6 or 7 and then look to get the rest of it in on the turn. So I think his overpair is gone. Could have pocket pair below the top card, but I think overall no made hand. I think he would be willing to get it all in with any of his draws as well. So I think he is pretty weak. And now it's to us. What should we do? We do have, we've got a long shot. Some of our hands are going to connect with trips, 9s, 5s, 4s. We could have a straight. No, we don't have 7-8. So we could have top pair with gut shots. We can have overcards. I don't think we should necessarily raise. He doesn't have anything. I don't know if raising is going to get us in bias position, because I don't think he is going to be calling much. Big question is, what does villain 1 do? And this board definitely is going to hit villain 1 much harder than us. So I kind of think, if we were to bet, I think we could be betting our sets, possibly our overpairs or top pairs. I think top pair, overpair, and sets are betting for value. I think these two, overpair, top pair, they're looking to buy equity. I think our flush draws could be betting as a bluff, but you can see that that's it. So if I take those out, you can see that we're a little bit more value heavy. And if you think about like what cards could come on the turn that we could fire a second bet with, I think there's a lot of cards that are actually kind of scary. Any 6, 7, 8 is going to be scary. Any 3, 2, or ace could be scary. Any diamond's going to be scary. 10 could be scary because you've got 9 10s in the range. I think jack and queen and king are probably better cards. Even ace isn't that good for us because, ace of diamonds, unless it's the ace of diamonds, if it's an ace non-diamond, yeah, you could have, any caller could have the nut flush, could have the ace of diamonds, could have, ace 9, ace 4, ace 5, since he called. So I kind of think instead of betting here, even with betting with our sets, I'm not sure if we could bet those. Yeah, we would buy equity, but at the same time, I think it's if we bet and he calls, then if we check the turn, no matter what the turn card is, and he bets, I think we're going to have a hard time calling. So it almost seems like betting then doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I think we should probably be checking our entire range here. Just 100%. I didn't, I bet. So I'm going to go with this and say this is kind of our betting range here. And he calls. Let's see. So I think top pair calls. I don't think 6, 7, 8s call, or those weaker hands call. He's a pretty tight player. I think flush draw, open end, and straight draw calls. Probably the gut shot, maybe if the gut shot's also with the flush. So 35.9%. Let's go back there. Yeah, we just don't. I mean, we've got no made hands. And if we threw those into our bluff range. Oops. Over pair, top pair, no made hand, flush draw. I think we have too many bluffs. Even though he's folding a lot. He's only so he's folding, 64%. 64%. He's going to be folding a lot. And he does fold, so I think he's folding all of those. I don't think he's continuing at all. So we see a board, or we see a turn. So I'm going to go with this. Get this copied. Okay, so they've got 35.9%. They have 84 combos. We have 28.8% with 17 combos. You can see that they have us edged out. So now we've got the 6 of clubs. I think that's one of those cards that we don't necessarily want to see. Because I think it helps their range a little bit better, and you can see based on their equity, it jumped up. So now it's 60-40. We're the 40% underdog. So it's on us, and what do we do? I think this could be a situation where I think we check call with overpair and top pair, and probably our flush draws. I think we're going to be check calling here with that type of range. I don't see a bet. I think if we bet, we're going to be getting called. So you can see just how many hands he's going to call with. I think a straight is probably going to raise us, and probably a set is 2. Maybe 2 pair. I don't even think a flush draw is gonna call. So I think if we bet and he raises, I think we can fold. But he's going to be, say he calls with top pair plus overpair, 2 pair, flush draw, open end, straight draw. I think that we'll get rid of the gut shots. I don't think he's gonna call the gut shot. So you're looking at 80%. We're only getting 20% folds, and you can see we're at 50-50. I don't think we're getting enough folds to be betting this number of flush draws. I just don't. I bet. And we're going to say we're continuing. I mean, at this point, I know we don't have the hand in our range. I don't think the betting makes sense. So maybe I just bet everything because we fired out, and maybe he has, a diamond draw. And then he raises us, and at that point, I think it's going to be sets or straights. I don't even think he's going to be. I don't think he's doing it with flush draw. And what kind of sets? 4, 5, and 9. I come over the top, and the question is, what would it make sense for me to do with anything over the top? I don't think it makes sense for anything, even the flush draw. Why would I do it as an underdog? So at this time, I think my play just kind of goes off the rails, and he calls, and we see a board. I had those 6s, he shows a 9, so I mean, it's I guess he had could have had 4s or 5s. He had 3 for the 9s, 3 combos of 9s, and 4 combos for 8-7. So 7 versus 6. So 50-50 is probably best case scenario, but I think we would have done better by checking. I think we would have done better by checking the flop, checking with our entire range. If he bets, we call. Let's go back here. Checking all of this because it keeps our sets in 2 pairs. Let's change that. Sets in 2 pairs. I think we keep 2 card backdoor flush draws in our range as a check call. I think he checks, or we check, he bets, we call, something like that. And then the 10 of clubs, 6 of clubs hits. Now I think it's a little bit better because I don't think 7/8 is going to check, so I think that's a better play. We'd still lose to the 9s, but I think it's a little bit better because it gives us a little bit more leeway. We check, he bets, we raise. We could be check raising here with our sets, and I think also we're going to be check raising with some of these big flush draws. So I kind of think ace 9. Well, we don't have ace 9. I think ace jack is probably going to do it. 9-8 of diamonds I think could do it because we've got a gut shot with the flush draw. Some combo draw that's going to get folds because if he bets, let's get rid of that. I think if we check, he's probably going to be betting. He might take a stab with all of this, all the way down to bottom pair. Maybe doing something like that, and then 6 of clubs comes out, and I still think he's going to be betting top pair. I think if I check raise, he might. He's definitely going to call 2 pair. He still has the sets. Maybe we don't check raise. Maybe we just call that turn. Interesting hand, tough hand, but I think the turn, his raise was all we needed to know. He raised us. We had trips. I think he's got set or straight, and kind of comes down to he has more hands that beat us than we beat. So listen to what they're telling us. We should probably fold. All right, if you like this hand, look tomorrow for another.